Hey everyone, it's Kevin Jarrett Productions with a new type of video. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded anything in about 2 weeks. I've had other stuff, but today I want to do something a little bit different in today's video. In today's video, I'm going to show everyone what's in this box. And what's inside is actually something that I don't really show off, and it doesn't really see the light of day. What this is a box of 1/24 scale slot cars from the 1980s that still work. They are much older and have more use than my models, and these things are built like tanks. Let me open the box and show you. I have not opened this box in over a year. It's covering a bunch of different slot car. But, oh. So as you can see, we've already got cars. Now these cars are significantly bigger than HO scale. They're 1/24. And whew, it stinks. Because there's lighter fluid that's on the wheels. Now there are different divisions of cars that were around, like racing trucks and different versions of race cars, different motors. There is a car that I don't have, and it's called a wing car. This used to be Jeff Gordon, the number 24, but I switched out the body and made a number 7 Hooters car. I was weird back then. This one still works from what I know. This is, I believe, a midget car. Now these were raced. Well, they're basically like everything else, but they have a smaller basis and they run completely different. I don't have much to say on this car though, so. I don't really have much to say on those two because those aren't my prominent cars that I raced. I really only raced back then. The story why I don't slot car race anymore is because the place burnt down. It was actually about a 5-minute drive from my house. It was called Hollywood Speedway and Hobbies, and it was a slot car shop. My dad and I found it one day, and we got hooked. And we mainly just raced cars that were old, that not qualified for standard night racing, though I was going to be ready to start doing it with a specific car. But this is my ASO car. I'm not a race car expert. I stopped getting into race cars and I started doing trains. But it's actually, I think, a similar type of chassis. They all have different chassis types. And these things can fly around the track. Albeit they have been they have 12-volt motors, and this is, I believe, a Flexi 2 Parma body. I think that's what it's called. I'm not an expert, please. But these are kind of hard to find. I don't know how much they command for on eBay, but in general, they're pretty unique. Now this is something I won from my father. I actually raced him over this. This is his Mustang, and it's based off of a much earlier Mustang model. I'm not sure of the year, maybe a 1990s Mustang. So this might be the most recent one that was produced. But it's designed like a race car, obviously. It's designed like something from NASCAR. I beat my father with the next car that I'm going to show you, which is my still pride and joy. And I did a good job. If I still raced these, I would probably do some more work on them. But this thing flies around the track. It's quite amazing how I beat my father over it. But the most important car in my collection of slot cars is this. I call this Carmadillo. And this is kind of a car that might be illegal. However, it might be still legal to run. Because it uses a wing car body chassis. The chassis is off of a much higher model car. But the motor is not a wing chassis. The chassis itself is different. It's lighter than the normal car, so that thing flies. I was able to, I think, complete one lap in 1 second, and it was so quick you couldn't even see it. You were like, oh, "What was that?" And these are direct gears. They're not like model trains. They don't have slow speed control or anything. But this car, originally, actually, funny enough, had this car's chassis. That was the original chassis for this car, and I switched it because I wanted to have a faster car. And unfortunately, the car is seen better days. But I could always get another. I could always repaint this if I wanted to. I will if there was another race place. I probably would still be racing this car, and I probably would have won a few races. Yeah, it really sucks that Hollywood Speedway hobbies burnt down, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I was pretty upset when they burnt down. Which is why these cars don't get seen. And we have other ones that are stored at the moment. There's like another couple, like a race truck and everything. I don't want to take those out. It would take forever. But we then have another box. And we have a little motor kit. Nothing special. A body. These are what we call them. We call these bodies. We do not call them chassis. Or shells. These are bodies. And this one looks like it was running. I was actually converting this car, from what I remember. And this is the chassis I was soldering together at the time. I could probably finish it if I wanted to. But there's no reason to finish the motor because there's no slot car to race it on. So maybe one day it'll get back together, but now it's like that. And Paragon traction tire compound still works apparently. That is like lighter fluid. I believe that's oil. I'm not going to open any of that because they smell horrid. And I had a controller that I used. It was not the... And this is another car I have. I believe this one was... Yeah, this one looks like it's incomplete too. No, it looks like it's all right, but it doesn't have any pins. And can you see what's up with that one? Yeah, this has a very weird body. Basically, I think this is the chassis that car took for Carbondillo, and I swapped it. Or something like that. Right? It was something like that. And these are what they look like normally. Now, I don't have a Man Ray. I don't have a Batmobile. I wasn't in the era. Now, unfortunately, I stopped racing these back in 2017-ish. Man, it's been that long. 2016, easy. It's been 3 years since these cars have been raced. Because Hollywood Speedways and hobbies burnt down. Don't know if you... And then the last thing in the box is a controller. Now this was my brother's controller. And this is how they work. You probably might see it well, but it appears this controller has definitely seen better days, but it served its purpose. Funny, I actually didn't use this controller anymore after a while. I started using a different controller, and it's actually a better one. It's a little more advanced. Now, these are different in voltage capacity. They have no circuit board, but they do have 3 plug wires that you plug into the track, and that starts the car. And you could control the speed, sort of, and regulate it. But it's been a long time since that's ever happened. But this is actually something that, I wish was still out there because I would love to stream this stuff. Because it's a really unique hobby that unfortunately I don't do anymore because of the terms that have happened to it. Unfortunately, these cars likely will never run again, possibly, at the rate they go. And that they don't have they have collectible value likely, but I have no reason to sell them. Definitely on my fingers, I'll go wash it. But these cars have no value from what I know on eBay. And I'm not selling them because they're both special to me and they are my originals. Funny, I could tell you a lot about each car, and they all have different stories to tell about them. So I'll put the ICI back. This is actually, I believe, the second car that I raced. I did not race this car as much as I raced Carbondillo, though. This car, I think, has completed when I raced it, over 1,000 laps. And each lap took about 10 seconds. It's done, in estimate, of that many laps in 1 hour. I think the highest amount of laps I did was 550 in 1 hour and 30 minutes. And it was really cheap to go here. It was $7 to get, or $8 to come and race for an hour, and I think that was an amazing bargain. I mean, that's what I would pay for, even nowadays. That's an amazing price, and unfortunately, no kids were really into this. There was one kid from one of the racers. His name was Hollywood. That was his nickname, Hollywood. And I raced his son once, and he beat me. And it wasn't an official race. I was about to start official racing with these, but couldn't. And I really would hate the fact I couldn't. You know, this was my favorite car, so it's like... Well, actually, I was racing Carmadillo with that chassis right there, so maybe you can tell why exactly I sucked at it. But this car has a lot of specialty with me, and it's something I kind of treasure. This car has seen better days. Funny enough, when I was still racing these, I planned on making another one. I planned on getting another one of these bodies off eBay for cheap. They cost like $5 on eBay. It's a very thin plastic. It's like the plastic used on bottles, water bottles. And I was going to paint it up like differently, and I was going to probably do a nicer job. It was going to be a black, and it was going to be black, and then it was going to have a streak line on it. So there was going to be a lot of detail in the car and everything. Unfortunately, I don't have any. I can't do that anymore because there's no place to run it, so no one can see it in action. Probably I would have done some paint work and everything. I probably would have ordered a new sticker and everything from Parma. It was... Unfortunately, these cars don't get any use. You know, they're pointless to run, but they're still cool nonetheless, and they have history to them. My father raced them back the day before we got in the model trains. And this is his Mustang. It's pretty sick of a car. Again, this is one of the fastest cars in the fleet, and I won it out of a race against the car. So technically, the Carmadillo was faster than this car. This car was pretty quick, though. Now, we had to be very careful. We had to replace... The only thing we replaced, really, on these cars, I think, were the wheels. Because what happens to them, they start to dry rot, and then they get fucked up. Excuse me. They screw up, and they get messed up. And this is actually a unique car. The only thing that's a problem with it is it had a sticker on the windscreen for about maybe 30 years. And I took it off, and it's all sticky still. So I might take some alcohol one day, in a long time possibly, and clean this off, and maybe even... But for now, I guess the cars will go back into their box. Well, they've been for about 3 years. Now, the box has been reopened, but unfortunately, I don't think these cars will be racing anytime soon. They just don't have anywhere to go. I even looked at Hobbytown. They don't have a track that's compatible. So these cars are really a failing piece of my channel history. And I had a video on YouTube a long time ago of myself racing the Carmadillo. However, I don't keep it on YouTube anymore because of its nature. It's also filmed really weird, so I don't want to use it. Because if I was filming nowadays, I would have brought my tripod. I might not have even put I would probably be working there for all I know. I really enjoyed this stuff, and unfortunately, it's sad to say that I don't have the opportunity anymore to use this stuff, but maybe one day it'll happen again. But these are my old stock cars. This is Kevin Jenner Productions, signing off.